shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Gentlemen, anybody can go do that. You don't need to read any books, you don't need to do the literature, you don't need to watch any debates. Do the fucking experiment, all right? And if you've got a GCSE level of reality, you will know you don't need to discuss this subject any further. In practice, they will see different things, okay? What they will see will, probably not coincidentally, totally conform with what you would expect if every other scientist on the planet is correct and the thing's a sphere, okay? That's what he's up against. Now, the very fact I can only infer that either you are like subhumanly stupid, and I don't think you are, or that you're just being dishonest and you're trying to make a buck. Now, fair enough, the world's turning into a hard place.
You don't make much money being a flat earther.
And you might really
if you debunk the flat earth, you get 100,000 subscribers just for going in.
I've seen enough flat earthers, okay? So you might be a nice guy, and we've all got to try and make a buck, so I don't want to completely shoot him down. But you know what I mean? Well, then I pray that you see the light. Now, so that's my 3-point argument. Thank you very much for letting me put my point.
Okay. The hypothesis that we can all see the same light at the same time cannot be demonstrated with reality. You know, people will tell you in the southern region they cannot see the northern stars. We know that for sure. But if
it was flat.
So now let me.
Okay, fine.
I appreciate you inserting that, because what you're saying is the only way that could be possible is because it's a sphere. Well, that's what you were taught when you were 7 years old.
I'm not saying.
What if I had much lower lights? And, for example, street lights, right? If I'm standing under my street light, it's not long that I have to walk away before I can no longer see that street light. And as I walk away, I see it going lower and lower and lower until eventually I can't see it. So if I'm here in the northern region and I travel south towards South Africa, then the stars that I can see above my head now are gradually going to drop and drop and drop. And in fact, that's exactly how they do their maps when they're using the shipping thing. They'll say, okay, how low is that star? Once I know how low that star is in the sky, it'll tell me where I can locate myself on the Earth. And for thousands of years, sailors used even the astrolabe, which is 2,000. Let me finish my answer. The astrolabe, which is 2,000 years BC, is designed using that exact same mechanism. So by saying the lights are going to move over your head over a flat plane, and when these lights are here, that means you must be there. And that's all that is. So there's a lot of presupposition when it comes to it only works because it's a globe.
I didn't say that. I'm not saying that.
When we look at the original,
it doesn't work if it's flat. Demonstrably and experimentally, it doesn't work if it's flat.
Well,
now we can brainstorm other options.
How do you know that?
Well, we can do the experiment.
Well, if it is flat, it's working.
I invite anybody
to
the
do the
stars are going to drift off like this.
Let's do it.
Get further and further into
it nails it.
It's like this, but like this, right? And they're going to not drop off at quite a fast speed, obviously. They're going to just go into the distance further and further and just begin to sink, not like this, but like this, right?
I'm arguing
If the stars are kind of doing this, which I'm assuming you think they are doing.
They're either doing that or they're coming over our heads in a straight line. I don't know exactly how it works. I'm only basing my theories
They
on
drop
the
quite quickly. If you look at the sun, it will drop fairly quickly behind the horizon. When you look at it on our summer station, it will fall quite quickly. If you're looking from a flat plane, it's just going to go off into the distance like this, I'm assuming.
No, well, we would assume that, but even the tallest building, say Burj Khalifa, if you drive 100 kilometers from it, you won't over the flat desert. You won't see it anymore, right? And that's not because it's gone over the curve, just because things in the distance tend to drop down. Now, I'll give you this example of the hot air balloon. Right? If I have a hot air balloon go to 500 meters above my head, it goes straight up above my head. Now I have to look 90 degrees up to see that, yes? Now I only have to take 100 paces that way, and it's no longer 90 degrees. It's like 85 degrees. I walk 100 meters that way, it's now 80 degrees. I walk 10 miles that way, it seems to be almost touching the ground.
I don't think the maths works.
It's not about maths. It's not about maths. It's about observation.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, 50 miles away. Are we talking about a dome? Are we talking about? I mean, stars seem to and do appear to be a long distance apart. If you look at the skies, you'll see different stars falling behind all the stars, the planets, and planetary alignments, the sun and the moon, all of this. It makes more sense on a.
But imagine if you were an ant looking up at this tree, right? You would see leaves that seem to be like far apart and so on, but actually from our perspective it's actually all within a fairly confined area. So the idea that, but obviously if you were taking a zoomed up view, you'd be like, well, this leaf is much bigger, it's well closer. You could say the next leaf is 100 miles away and the next leaf from that is 10,000 miles away. We don't have any way of measuring it. So we're just assuming that because we see a variation in what appears to be a distance in a thing, we've been taught to believe that that's light years of distance and magnitudes of order of speed.
We've got a lot of power in telescopes and stuff like this. We have a lot of power in those telescopes, and we can work out roughly how to calibrate telescopes to get us to seeing certain things in the distance. So we can see galaxies. We can see whole galaxies now. We can see nebulae.
Let me tell you this about telescopes. Take your favorite telescope and find a terrestrial target. Okay? Maybe make it 30 miles. Yes, that's at least a decent distance. Tell me what you can find at 30 miles. Tell me what if you can see a stop sign at 30 miles. I don't believe they're anywhere near as powerful. And the people who gave us the original star sightings were using things that were less powerful than my phone camera.
I can do 10 times zoom on my little camera, and the lens is like this. You go to the Hubble telescope, the lenses are a very long distance apart in comparison to my 10 times. And I think these things calibrate exponentially. So you're pulling a lot more data in with these different lenses and stuff. Right? I would assume that it makes sense, more or less, that we are looking at things. I mean, this has been like a considerable amount of time in the history of telescopic sciences that are backed by the way that they work. And I'm assuming in the physical world, and that they would work consistently across time and different countries and cultures and stuff like this.
But if I teach you, okay, hold on. If I teach you that your telescope is able to see a million miles away, if I teach you that, then you will simply believe that that's what 100 times or 500 times magnification gives you. Well, what people have done with this Nikon camera that came out, it's got 100 times zoom on it, right? They've been zooming in on the stars.
One sec. I'll give him the. People should think.
Don't listen to him.
I
don't get much in their way of support.
I appreciate this. So I will give you the time of day.
If you're going to be a public.
So we've been looking at long-range targets with a zoom camera called the Nikon P, and we can see things that prove that there's no curvature. But when we look at the stars, we find that they're actually some sort of sonoluminescence. It's almost like they're vibrating in light. So that's what, vibrating in water. So that's what we believe that the stars are, rather than they're rocks that float. Rocks that float, bending time and space, is a very big theory, right? We can't demonstrate how time and space will support anything, but there's a theory. See, and the theory was built to try and explain the model.
Obviously, space is inextricable from time. I think the big, like orbs, big metallic objects and stuff like this, they create their own physics and their own voids. And if we take the sun as an example, like how do we measure time? We're talking about distance in space.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Okay, so what you're offering
do seem to change between orbs and between the size of different orbs in space.
What you're offering me, when you're talking, honestly, I was like, it sounds like I'm talking to someone who's explaining to me how the Star Trek Voyager works, because they've seen something on TV, they've been taught something that this is how that would be possible. But really, in reality, we don't have warp drives, and we can't go through the vacuum of space and create something to push off. Because in reality, in physics, we have to have a medium to push off, which is why our aircraft don't fly at 70,000 feet. Typically, right? Unless they're very special. And then even 100,000 feet, we can't get something up there, except maybe the Virgin thing that can shoot itself up to 150,000 or whatever. So we cannot, once we lose either being in water or being in dense air, we can't propel anything.
Well, I hear you. And I remember, what was his name? The German, German-American scientist who was trying to work out how much fuel we would need to go to the moon and stuff. I think that's fair. I mean, and in the time he was making those calculations, it was impossible. What was his name? Werner von Braun.
Werner von Braun.
And that guy, I mean, he was saying like there is no way that we can.
And yet
I don't think so, because it was 10 years, and I don't know about the moon landings. Like, to be fair, I don't know about the moon landings.
What did he put in his gravestone?
No,
Psalms 19:1, which says there's a firmament, there's a roof over us, and we can't get out. And he was, by the way, you know, because he was under Operation Paperclip, he was basically like one of those Nazis that says, listen, you're in a lot of trouble, son. If you don't sign this and come and work for us in America, you're in jail for the rest of your life.
Here's the deal. I get you, and I think this is the thing where I still believe the Earth
you shot yourself in the foot
is
for
a
bringing
sphere,
that up.
right?
He put it in his gravestone.
I'm not
Did you hear me say
entirely
those
sure
Spanish
that we
children?
went to the moon or not.
Those
This is
Spanish
something
children,
that I am.
something clicked for the Spanish children because they live close to Morocco, right? They all know, they grow up knowing that we can see Morocco from Spain. And I say to them, that if you're told when the teacher says the ship is going downhill, it's going over the curve to Morocco, when you get to Morocco, is the ship going to come back up?
We're on a plane.
Well, you would assume so, yeah.
But if you were standing in Morocco, you'd say, no, the ship's going down.
Going down. Yeah.
Well, that's the main proof that the Earth is a globe.
So it
People
goes
stand
down
on a beach.
as it's travelling to Morocco. It's going down, and it's coming back up when we go to Spain.
That would make sense, right? But that's not what they will tell you. Why? Because of relativity. Relativity puts you at the top of the globe. So once you arrive in Morocco, guess what? You're back on top, and you'll be going down to Spain.
Going down to Spain.
And the amount of
Think about it.
but
Think about
if
it.
it's a sphere,
If the argument
makes
is that I stand on a beach and
So
I
you're
watch
in
a ship
Morocco.
4 miles go over the curvature, that's the argument that proves that we're on a globe. 7 miles, whatever. That's the argument that I live on a globe, that it's gone downhill. But when I'm standing in Morocco, I can make the same argument that it's left my harbour and gone downhill.
Yes, because
How can it be
it's
both?
curvature. Either way you're standing, there's just curvature.
Either
It's
up or
just
down.
curvature.
You can't curve
It's a
up.
circle.
You
It's a
can't go
sphere.
down
It's a
both
circle.
ways. No, but if it's a circle, right, and I'm going down the circle, don't I have to come back up the circle? Or sphere, more accurately. Think about
I think
it.
you're. hang
Really?
on.
I'm not. It's not me, my friend. It's you that's been brainwashed. I'm just here telling you the truth.
You're not going
And your
up,
friend there, he
doing
doesn't like
this.
that very much.
It's not going up like this, is it? It's going this way, and it's going this way, and it's going this way.
So
Right?
what you're
Spain,
describing.
So Marbella, right? Marbella, going down. So not Marbella.
Yeah.
And then going up. But you're doing the same. The motion is there. You go like that, right? So you're going this way, and then you're going this way. So it's going to be going. It's going to be appearing to go downwards, right, from either position. And it will. And if you take you're on the ground and you've got the camera, it's going to go this way quicker. And if you're on the top of a mountain, it's going to go slower, and you're going to be able to work out exactly but where you are in relation to the Earth, exactly how much it does tip. And I have seen this, and that does make sense to me.
Do you know how much it
lots of
curves?
people who are curved earthers make more sense to me, because you get exactly the same numbers, because you're living on a physical, in a reality which has consistency when it comes to empirical reality. So you're getting the same thing.
Okay, so how much does it curve empirically?
I have no idea. I don't know. I've probably definitely heard numbers before, but this is stuff that's just outside of my interests.
Well, because you would have thought that if it was if we lived on this near perfect sphere, then the water would be, because the Earth is mostly water, the water would be consistently bending at about the same amount. So when we were in school, they would take you to a long lake or something like that and demonstrate even if to a few inches of curvature, and say, I can show you that.
Yeah.
Well, we've never proven that. And we can take laser pointers at 10 miles, sun flashes at 20 miles, long-range photography at 50, 100, 200 miles, and we're looking at objects that are meant to be under even a mile of
Sure.
curvature.
I hear that. I get you, and I think in certain heats, in certain atmospheres, you're going to get some kind of waviness between when you notice the curvature. But I would say certainly that if you can get all of the confounders right, if you can correct for these kinds of confounders, you're going to find a consistency between when you see the curvature based upon, let's say, the heat. And I'm not a scientist.
I've drawn a picture here. I want to draw your attention to. When you and I were in school, right? We both had the same education, and we're both equally, I'm sure, equally intelligent. When we were in school, teacher drew America or England like this on the chalkboard. This is how they always draw it. Right? You've got mountains, you've got mountains and sea. And in England, as a matter of fact, the sea level is all measured from a place in Cornwall. So the sea level in Wales and the sea level in Bournemouth is going to be zero at a certain point of high tide or low tide. Right in the middle of high tide and low tide, they're going to go, this is the sea level, yes? Yeah. Well, what I've drawn here...
It's not thoroughly consistent across the world. What different places around the world are either sinking or rising. Like the Earth itself is going to sink and rise according to what the tectonic plates.
Yeah, but that's not got anything to do with the globe. That exists on a flat Earth too. But what I'm trying to point out to you is that what we've got here is one sea level baseline, and in fact most of our sea beds are called abyssal plains. About half of the Earth's sea beds are known as abyssal plains, flat, perfectly flat. So if you've got all of this flatness, and that's could be America. I've got one on my thing here. This is North America, from left to right, right? Where's the curvature? That's 1/8 of the globe, according to the maths. That's 1/8 of the globe. Where is the curvature? Here. This here. That's California, and that's New York. That's according to what you can find on the web. That's what you were taught by your teacher at school.
I think there is an immense amount of consistency when you program for. And I get it, but when you program for the historical Earth, things make a lot more sense. There are some basic, I think there are 10 examples
friend, what's your name?
What's your name? My name's Christian.
Christian,
Nice
I
to
like
meet
you,
you,
Christian,
yeah.
but listen. You carry, tonight when you get home, try carry a plate of water from one room to another without spilling it. If it's full of water, you will spill the water. Water does not like to be moved. So the idea that the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour with lakes that are sitting perfectly still is ridiculous.
But it's in an atmosphere,
Absolutely.
and that atmosphere
In an
is
atmosphere,
stable,
it doesn't mean
and it's
anything.
being pushed and pulled inwards because of magnetism, electromagnetism, right?
So why isn't your
Because
plate of
there's a
water,
molten
why isn't your
magnet
plate of
core
water
that
being held
pulls.
to the plate?
But it works the same way. If you just scale it, it's going to work the same way as the sea, right? It's flat. It remains still when it's still, and the ocean moves in accordance to the moon, right?
Scaling.
It pulls
If I
itself
scale,
here and it pulls itself here.
I scale something like my bath is level, and then I say if I make it 10 bath sizes, it's not going to be level anymore. You say no, that's ridiculous. Right? So if I say to you, I cannot carry a small plate of water, but if I make it a big plate of water, I'll be able to carry it.
With respect,
Ridiculous.
we don't have the time, money, or effort to be able to make an artificial, like what we do, I don't know, or like lakes like the Great Lakes and stuff. They will obviously cohere to the spherical Earth, and things
Well, actually,
go behind them. Right?
no.
So I'm
No.
going to go.
Look here. Every lake, from Lake Titicaca, every lake in Switzerland, all level.
I think this is
all level.
I like
All level.
Very
Okay, good
nice
luck.
to meet you. Very
Good luck.
to see you.
Cheers, Andrew. You had a question. Thanks for waiting.
Can we do it without the camera?
Huh?
Can we do it without the camera?
Yeah, go on.
You mentioned about forget the unobservable numbers and maths and slides and all that, right? Why can we not fly to Morocco, take one step south of the equator, and see the
Well,
Yeah, that's what it
You're
is.
trying to make a point forward.
It's the same reason.
Not really, but I'm just. I'll tell you what my angle is.
Well, let me tell you what I think is that the North Star may be the central star. And so if that's this, let's say it's a central star then a single few paces isn't going to necessarily make much difference. But I would imagine that everything works by the range of it. Like Wembley Stadium lights could be on right now, we don't see them. We have to get quite close before we see them, maybe a few miles away, and then eventually they start to come as we get closer, just like the hot air balloon, as you get closer, it becomes higher. Sorry. It becomes higher and higher. It goes up and up. Actually, guys, I don't know if it's coming through. So for me, like if you said, oh look, I've got the super bright light in the centre of London, I would say I just cross the M25, why can't I see it? Maybe
And I'm not saying that because I do agree, like observably we don't observe anything. I do agree with that. But it would be very easy to prove certain points that you're making by like simply like stepping south. According to the globe model, you'll never see the North Star exactly the equator. So if you were to take one step south of the equator and see the North Pole, then it's just a straight, like, very simple. You know what I mean?
yeah, maybe. I mean, some people would probably say because with every anomaly, like time zones, and, with so many anomalies in the southern hemisphere for time zones, there's always an explanation. So anything that doesn't fit, like for example, we've had those occasionally we've had a solar eclipse while the moon is visible. Or a lunar eclipse where the sun is, and so there's been some anomalies, and they'll always come up with a name for it. They say, well, this is because of a certain number of features. Like this guy was saying to me a minute ago, like, well, just the haze. I'm seeing an object that's meant to be under a mile or half a mile or 100 meters even of curvature, and then they will say, no, there's some atmospheric effect that has brought that thing back up into your line of sight. It's brought it up over the hill, now you can see it.
I understand that argument, but
so there's always an explanation.
but like that's not an anomaly though. That's not an anomaly because every single year you can go on a clear summer's day, one step south of the equator, and have a look at the North Star. If I've never done it, I would love to, but what I'm saying is, if your argument would be like, oh, there's some atmospheric conditions that it's very convenient that those conditions appear right at the equator. Do you know what I mean? Another one.
Same as actually the one that with the water going down the tap.
Yeah, but that's
clockwise and
that's
everything.
everything.
We can demonstrate that.
Yeah, but that's amazing. So another one. You mentioned the Antarctic Treaty. I understand, fully agree. But I believe your argument would be we can't independently explore Antarctica because of this treaty. And so ideally, if you were to circumnavigate the Antarctic coast, you could add up the numbers and say like it's clearly not. Right.
No.
So
we're not allowed to independently go beyond 60 South Carolina.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for saying that. So I was wondering what the
70 for like aviation companies, like the BA and stuff.
But you don't. If that is such a big difference compared to the globe model, you don't need to go right on the perimeter. You could do it on the 60th parallel.
Right.
And circumnavigate and add up the numbers.
The sailors who do like the daily around the world sailing challenges,
I'm sure it's expensive.
They typically don't like to go beyond the roaring 40s because the conditions are so...
Roaring 40s south? Where is that roughly?
Well, that would be below South Africa.
Is that a legal place for independent exploration?
You can, yeah.
So that's beneath South Africa. You don't need to get right to the perimeter to circumnavigate.
Perhaps not, yeah.
So why not just do it on the 40th parallel going all around? Measure how long it takes you to do that. I'm not saying you, because it takes a tremendous financial effort to do that, but...
and you need to be into floating.
Right. Well, I'm sure the community now is big enough for that to maybe be...
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things that people have done. Like
I've seen the whole, that YouTube Antarctic thing, but...
I'm not sure. Pangea. It could be Pangea. Yeah.
But just strictly speaking, what is like observable to us, right? Yeah. So those are my 2 points. The North Star, just a little bit south of the equator, or circumnavigate as close as you can to the sun. Those two things, for me, like I'm a little bit skeptical. I appreciate all the arguments, and it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. But it's just like certain things theoretically like quite easy to prove your argument, even though maybe you shouldn't have to learn it. But you know what I mean?
Well, like I said earlier on, when we triangulate stars, when we're shipping, when we put our position on the map, we use a sextant, we triangulate. We do everything on straight lines.
I understand.
So if you had 100 ships 10 miles apart in a straight line, say partway across the Atlantic, every one of those pilots would take a straight line, and you've got basically 1,000 miles of straight lines that are meant to be massively curved according to the... So the star position would be off according to the globe, right? And of course the ancients who invented the system, they invented it based on the stars moving on a flat body.
Absolutely, and a lot of pilot literature is written based on
treating the Earth as
yeah, I fully understand.
The physics, the sheer physics requires for this Earth and its atmosphere to be moving 1,000 miles an hour, and for a plane, once it leaves the surface of the Earth, not to be any way affected by it, other than maybe higher winds that are going in each way. These are things that just when you start thinking about them, like
I understand.
If the runway was traveling 1,000 miles an hour east to west, how's the plane accounting for that? Is it sliding in sideways? Does the plane even travel?
I understand, and I appreciate that point, which is why I'm very skeptical.
And then if I know that if I was in a wind tunnel, if this atmosphere was moving with the Earth, and I left the surface of the Earth and I headed into the rushing wind, I would have to account for that. My plane would have to be designed for it. I'd have to know that even though the Earth is spinning towards me, the air is pushing against me, and I need to fly according to it. There was back in the 1800s, people who were skeptical said, what if we just took a hot air balloon up into the air for an hour? Could we land it in France, in Paris, because by then Paris should be underneath it? Oh no, because the atmosphere is somehow being dragged.
But this is that's exactly the point, right? So when the counter argument is the atmosphere is getting dragged along with it, it's like then your counter argument, then it gets into stuff that we can't prove ourselves or test ourselves. So strictly speaking, what we can test ourselves are the 2 points that kind of made it.
Well, I would say no because as I say, the one about sailing around is if we could truly, and if we could also touch, ideally, if we could touch what we believe is a wall on our way around at various points, that would be great.
All you have to do is just maintain a certain distance from the Antarctic pole,
if you can know what that truly is, because I'm not sure even the Google map version of the Antarctic continent, look at it, it looks very CGI. It doesn't look like that's real. They're not getting close on some harbours and peninsulas that are real. The location of them and all of that has to be pinch of salt. But for me, the sheer physics of making water stick to a ball, based originally on gravity attracting everything in, and then the time and space bending and so on. These are things that you have to believe in order to make this work. And I'm like, okay, so even if I don't know that hard, I'm not willing to simply accept Jesus walked on water because he told me so.
Absolutely.
I for myself.
Absolutely.
And there's the logic of it, a man 2,000 years. Anyway, that's a different story. But the point on this is that we can't. I want to offer you this. I believe that the Earth is an electromagnetic source.
But you have to have the electromagnetic argument to counteract the gravity argument.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think there is an electrostatic thing.
There must be because of lightning and all this weird stuff.
We can get static in our head. And you can make a balloon stick to your head. So we know static exists, but that when you create a torus field, you create the potential for energy to flow, and what they call an atom is probably just like a little toroidal bubble of activity. And in that, it's got an electromagnetic, because of its movement, it's creating electricity. And that electricity is the spark of life. It is the light that we see in the plants and in all things. And I think that the torus shape, like the apple, is the perfect shape for Earth. But instead of living on the outside of the skin, because the apple doesn't live on the outside of the skin, it has to be contained within the skin. So I believe it's contained within the skin of the Earth, the universe, if you like. And that bubble, which is the skin, contains all the water. And that water, like the apple, is either, well, in our case, it's either seawater, lake water, or thin water that we're breathing right now. And then all the heavier stuff, if I took a balloon, for example, and filled it with air, water, and sand, the sand would be at the bottom, the water would be above that, and the air would sit above that. Well, I've just created a small universe. All I need to do now is to give it life. So if you imagine the orange peel and pith feeding the fruit, because that's what happens is you've got this tiny little egg on the plant, on the tree, and then the stem feeds it with water and nourishment and what have you, and eventually that thing plumps up and plumps up and plumps up. But if you could see the water as electricity, then what you're seeing is like a flow of a movement of electricity around that peel, around that pith, and that is nourishing the various quadrants or sectors of that. And I think the same is true with the way that the Earth, that's nature showing us in the microcosm how it could be at the macrocosm. Seeds are at the center, the core. So the core is not 4,000 miles beneath your feet, another satanic lie. You are the seed. This Earth is the seed. It's the mother. The mother carries the seed for new life, new trees, new men and women. These things can all be manifest from the seed. They cannot manifest on the skin, and they cannot manifest just from the water. They need the seed. So the seed might be the female, the water or the electricity might be the male, the El Ohim, the male, and the magnetism, mother, might be the earth. And the combination of the two, mother and father, bring about life. Because the seeds would die without the water. And so the apple is, for me, the perfect analogy for the earth. And of course, we being the same as that, according to people who look into energy fields, say that we have a toroidal field around us. That we are like a big apple. Around you is a torus. But the only physical hard part is this seed, is this avatar in front of me. But there's much more to you than I can see. The same is true with the earth. There's much more to the earth than we can see, but the physical part, the body of the earth, is what we can see. And I think that everything springs from, all life springs from that. And it has to be. The denser stuff is beneath us, the heavier stuff is beneath our feet, sinks the lowest, and the light stuff is above our neck. Right here in the middle is the Goldilocks zone, which I teach you in science. But I applied in this context that it's the Goldilocks zone is right here. We can't live at 5,000, 6,000 meters altitude, and we can't live beneath the water. This is the Goldilocks zone, between 1 and 2,000 and 3,000 meters. For sea level. And that's the only place that we can, that's the only place that new life flourishes. Things do in the extreme, but in the main, things flourish in the Goldilocks zone. And that's all it needs to be. What's outside of the bubble, what's outside of the apple shell skin, I don't know. And I make no claims about that. I have a theory about it being mortal, but I don't know. I don't think that they're meant to. I think that man's ego wants to get out and say, oh, let's go to the moon and Mars and all these things. Because we can't get to tell that guy that Werner von Braun wrote that book about a guy called Elon taking mankind to Mars.
Did he?
15 years before he took man to the moon, he wrote a science fiction book about a guy, and the people who went to Mars were known as the Eagles, because they were serving the cult.
Is that true?
That's true, 1956.
He wrote a book about people going to Mars.
Yes.
And they were called Elon.
No, the leader of the guy taking them to Mars was called Elon.
Really? Wow.
You can't make this shit up.
Well, it's like a cartoon, I know.
And the guy who signs off on his book, who writes the little forward for his book, ends up being the director of NASA during the moon landings.
Van Braun.
Von Braun was the head of the rocket program. But the overarching director of NASA in 1971 is the same guy who writes the foreword for his science fiction book about England taking mankind to Mars. Look, it's mind blowing. It's like when you start looking. I've been looking 10 years now, and when you start looking at all the little bits and pieces, there's so many parts of it that are like, no, I'm not going to believe any shit you say. If I came to your court and you told me on 3 out of 5 lies, right? Why are you going to believe anything that I say? One lie in court and your whole testimony can be wasted. And yet the government can lie and lie and lie, and we continue to believe them. They'll send you off to the gas chamber next. This vaccine program that they put people through is very harmful. Very harmful. And the whole thing was predicated on a lie. The whole thing was planned long in advance. And people will still go and vote for the next couple of clowns. All of you will be secret society club members. They will be a safe pair of hands that the party, whoever that is, that the party can put as the new leader. And every time we get a guy going, this is going to be the one, Nelson Mandela, or Trump, Blair, or you name it, this is going to be the one. And he just continues the edifice of the banking cartel, the military industrial complex, the pharmaceutical poisoning complex. All of these things are continued under all of them. And none of them ever say, listen, we don't really know what happened on 9/11. If there was a true, Putin was legit, he'd go, listen, my SBB, my police would come to me and told me this is who did 9/11. It wasn't that Osama bin Laden, or even the friend of the Bush family, you know? No, they never come out and tell us that. Not even Saddam Hussein doesn't come out and say, I'm going to buy there's a Russian guy owns the Metro newspaper here in London. They could immediately start putting stuff out that overturns the status quo. But they won't, because they're already saying all governments are like a franchise. And all education, you're on my education. Even if you've got, Argentina, or it doesn't matter where you got educated, our education is pretty much the same. Yeah. There might be historical nuances, like in a place where they can't get away with making the white guy the hero every time, right? So some brown countries, they might go, well, it wasn't all the white guy, wasn't all that good, right? He did this, he did that. But the main is all United Nations, UNESCO, WHO, all of these things are in every country. And then when those 3 countries try to kick the World Health Organization out in 2022 with the vaccines, all 3 of those presidents die of cancer.
What were the 3 countries?
Haiti. Tanzania was the most famous because he was the guy who tested on TV, tested the goat and pawpaw with the COVID test, and he found that they came back with COVID. The pawpaw had COVID. So he was already skeptical. And then was a 3rd country. I'm going to say also African, but I forget the country right now. It's been a while.
So not like not North Korea?
No, North Korea is a CIA puppet. Biden is a CIA. They are Kim Jong-un. They're just keeping that. It's like what you want to do. Let's say I managed to get rid of crime, eradicate crime altogether in London, right? Then people would say, well, we don't need no more police anymore because we've got no more crime. Well, that wouldn't suit my business model because I sell a lot of gear to the police, right? So I'm going to need to keep a little nugget of criminality going so that I can justify. Some people in some countries, they say that, like in Spain or Portugal, they say that some people believe that firemen create fires on purpose because they only get paid per fire that they put out. Can you see how that might work, where someone might go, well, if I don't get Kim Jong-un to be a nigger in the woodpile, I don't know if I'm allowed to use that term, but if I can't get Kim Jong-un to be like my little bad guy, my little poison, my little cancer, then I can't justify having a military presence in this country, and naval bases here, here, and here. But because of him, I can justify all of my raison d'etre. My reason for being America has 700 military bases outside of the United States. So they've got justification for that based on stuff they've made up. Vietnam War, World War II, blah, blah, blah.
Are you Australian?
South Africa.
South Africa.
I'm English. European, born here, raised in South Africa.
Okay. The reason why I ask is one of my close friends, he done a road trip across Australia, and one thing he said was if you take this model here and like flattened it in the flat model of the model. The southern countries become like stretched out. Like if you took like the globe image of the Earth and like flattened it.
Oh, right, yeah.
So the southern areas become more like, and you could see that with like that world map that's like that looks a bit different to the normal world map because it's like adjusted for curvature or something like that, right? But the reason why I say this is what you said is when you're in the south and you're doing a road trip across Australia, you still have to follow like the same like distance numbers and maths, but it feels way longer traveling across when you're like going across like the southern countries, like doing a road.
Well, it's interesting
because it feels like it's
Well, I
you have
think-
to stretch it out, but they still have to try and respect the same numbers as like the northern hemisphere, right?
Yeah. But we know, because I've done this myself, we know that the Africa tip to the top of Africa is about 11,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
And if you take that same 11,000 kilometer line and run it all the way across, it'll reach all the way to Vladivostok, right? But the distance in reality, if you measure, is like 6,000 or 7,000 kilometers.
Yeah.
So then we know that our globes do not make any sense. Another one I say to people is that you can take from Johannesburg a piece of string to Heathrow, right, on a globe. Run that piece of string to Heathrow, that's an 11-hour flight. Now take that same piece of string without changing the length and run it over to Argentina. You'll find that you overlap the whole of South America, and yet the flight is 3 hours longer.
So
To South
as a South African, have you seen a flight from South Africa to Argentina?
I haven't, but I have looked up. Apparently you can get them now. But when I was a youngster, say 30 years ago, when the Argentinians, 25 years ago, when the Argentinians were coming to South Africa for the big rugby tournament they had every 2 years, they would fly them up into Europe first.
Yeah.
Which is like, to me, I just thought, I used to buy the bullshit that, well, the reason they do that is it's not economically viable to fly between
You have to go like across up
they
here.
go up here into Europe and then fly down here.
And like conveniently, the hubs are in like Saudi and this
Yeah.
area. Very convenient. But I understand all that. But it goes back to my equator and circumnavigation argument. If there is such a flight, a couple of flights on that, observe what's going on. It feels like all I'm saying is
ways for us to
it
test
feels
some of
it feels like it's easy to prove your argument, but I don't see it being done by the community. That's my anger, and that's why I'm like just skeptical
Well,
across the board, on both sides.
I'm thinking myself. Sorry.
And they don't even believe it. You guys
Yeah, I think we could do more. People have invested in those weather balloons and it's a fish island that tends to be sensible. We wouldn't need to fake these things. We wouldn't need to fake them in land. We would have a responsibility. Going into the vacuum of space by the
But like your position is like the underdog position, right? By far is the underdog position. So even though it shouldn't be, in my opinion, the burden unfortunately is on the guys, right?
Yeah,
And then there is a few of these. There is a few of these things that maybe happen to
reinforce,
ramp up the argument, but it's not been done.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this, though, in a way, like my part of me is like, I don't know that the world is meant to necessarily know the truth. Whilst I would love for that to transpire, that for people to kind of get a big wake-up call and go, they've been run by aliens, for example, and they look like humans, but they've been trying to trick you into giving away your life. That would be great, but it would be like opening the doors at Shawshank Prison or Shawshank Redemption. Okay, take any prison, like any supermax type prison. If I was to throw up the doors, you would agree with me that that's probably not a good idea. As much as I would love to see people rehabilitated, I know that you can't just throw open the gates of the prison. So I think of ideas, and I think that I would think about it more. Because I think people have done some great experiments, like long range, because one of the best things we can do is say, there's a long range observation I shouldn't be able to make according to your maths model, right? Yes, they'll try and debunk that, but people have done a lot of good experiments like that, and you show that to people and go, look, there's Michigan, it's 65 miles over is a level body of water, and they will make excuses for the cows.
What is the number? 8 inch per mile? Or?
Square.
Right, yeah. So after every mile you're going down 8 inches. Is that the
miles squared. So at 10 miles, it's 10 times 10 times 8.
Okay.
800 inches.
Exponential rise.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it. I think that if we did live on the globe, it would be like an equal amount of curvature everywhere, not an exponential amount of starting point at stake. I'm always on the board. What I think flat earthers have been tricked into doing is to using relativity by saying, well, where I stand, it's only 90 inches in the first mile. And then if my friend is standing 2 miles and 3 miles, there's two friends standing 2 miles and 3 miles, I'm going to insist that the next mile, the third mile is 3 times 3 times 8. But he's going to say, when I look back at my friend at 2 miles, it's only 8 inches. And so that cannot be right. It's just like the sailing downhill and sailing back up. You cannot do both. It's either going downhill every time, or we're obviously seeing ships going back uphill, and we don't. So the idea that I can alter the shape of the earth by standing in this point or standing 100 miles from this point and start the clock at 8 inches again. If I stand here and say at 100 miles, it's 6,600 feet of curvature, and the last mile of that is about 400 feet, something like that, according to this exponential system that they've given us. Right? They've given us. So I think that if I took your wall clock and I cut out the first 5 minutes of your wall clock, the shape of that, I could apply that same shape to any part of the clock and it would match up perfectly, yes? So any part of that first 5 minutes have got a certain amount of curvature in it, and that curvature is equal at any point in that minute subdivision, yes? Always equal. So I say to flat earthers, most flat earthers, 99% of them do not want to hear the see that. But I say it cannot be 8 inches per mile squared. Once you move past the brainwash, like these guys earlier on, you start to think beyond that and go, well, that is probably given to us as a part of the misdirection. Because if I say to you that the next mile has got 8 inches curvature, or it's got 100 feet of curvature, according to the nature of this globe, the second answer would be immediately obviously not there. But the 8 inches, and at 5 miles it's only 100 inches or whatever, I could easily write that off. That's easy to kind of explain away. My eyesight is losing things. I know that I'm using the bottom of a ship, bottom up, as it goes in the distance on a flat earth. So that could easily be explained away, the 8 inches per mile squared. But at the 8 inches per mile squared, looking at Lake Michigan is meant to be at 1,700 feet or something on that basis. And we've seen all of Chicago on that observation. And the Guinness World Record photo is 240 miles. And it may not be from a beach to a beach, but just from altitude, you can see the entirety of a mountain at 240 miles, which according to the maths is 3 miles away.
Are religions like parts of the deception or resistance of the deception? Part of the deception. But I heard you earlier talking about it's done on purpose to distract from the creator. But not necessarily the organized religions.
Yeah, because I think that organized religion, I think people have been spiritual and had a connection to earth and to God always, before Christians came along 1,800 years ago or whenever it was. Then Muslims came along 1,400 years ago, whenever it was. I think that we were deeply spiritual and always have been connected to nature and all. Long before organized religion, and I think that organized religion proved to me unequivocally during the coronavirus outbreak that they are part of the system when they locked their houses of worship. So people who are meant to be faithful and go and express their faith in God will say, no, don't come do that here. Rather wait for the doctor to turn up with some poison. Some health for you. So they're very much part of it. In fact, when I grew up, I did a lot of Bible study, and I used to say to my Bible preachers, I think the earth is out of date because it says the earth is not. I think the Bible is out of date because it says the earth is not moving. It says the earth is flat. That's what I saw when I was a teenager. but the church has gone along with it and said, no, it's the globe. Even Shamsi and other preachers here will tell you that the Quran says sun and moon travel over our heads. In the Quran it says sun and moon travel over our heads. Not that the earth spins underneath them. Yeah? And yet all Muslim scholars in the main will go, it's a globe.
Yeah, it also says it's flat
Even
like a
though
carpet.
it says it's flat like a carpet. Lucky,
But that's just like, conditioning of life.
yeah, but we've been
Everyone's subject to the same condition.
but I believe that if the oldest globe is 500 years, then scholars of Islam 550 years ago would have said that because the earth is flat. And the sun and the moon are small lights, like it says in Genesis, like it says in the Quran, that they are lights that travel over our head. Can't you observe them coming? But they're going down. No, that's only because like the plane, when it flies far away from you, it appears to be settling, but it's still cruising high. So, no, I think that the religions, I say, I used to believe in it. I was quite atheist. I became quite atheistic before I went on this journey. And I used to agree with the government when it said there needs to be a division or a separation of church and state. You know the phrase, state of mind. What if the church is your body and the state is your mind? And the system are trying to divide your body and your mind and separate you from yourself. That's what I believe the
Do you
separation of church and
read
state.
Jordan Maxwell?
I've listened to it. I find him interesting.
I do. Well, but a lot of stuff you mentioned earlier as well.
Right.
Renaissance, which are the word, the use of language.
I think that the religious people in the main are good people.
Yeah.
Just because I believe one religion and you do not doesn't make us not good men.
Yeah.
But I think that there is, within the sugar of religion, there is a little killer poison. And it's designed to rob you of your connection directly. I like in Islam, they say, you want to find God, he's closer to you than the judgment of anyone. So I, for me, believe that we are the temple of God, that God is within us. And I think that's, so I'm closer, like Shamsi, the preacher, comes and says, I'm really a Muslim. But the thing is that once I choose a club, I'm unchoosing my other brothers. And then that's where I can no longer speak to each, because I can speak to a Christian and a Muslim without saying, but I'm on his side, I'm on his side. I'm on God's side, that's who I stand for, and I think that we are all equal in God's eyes. So your sense of being better or being closer to God because you have this belief or that belief is something that the ego has been trying for. I don't think we should be in that place. But obviously I see the ego, it gets my ego a little bit backed up when I've got guys haranguing me as it were.
Yeah, well, you have to be quite a strong person.
Yeah. A man walked up to me.
Unlimited amount of abuse and ridicule.
Yes, thanks. Well, a man walked up to me. I was 10 minutes out of Hyde Park on my way in this morning. He walked up to me as I was walking up the street and said, you've got a very powerful aura. You need to give your, help people with your energy. That's what he said to me. I've never seen him before. There's no reason for him to walk up to me, but he decided to do that. And he had no need, they didn't know I was coming in next week. So I think that there is I don't know that when I found Flat Earth in 2015, I thought by next year, the world's going to know that it was flat. It's so obvious. Once you see it, it's so obvious, right? I was wrong. And now I'm willing to be accepting that maybe God's plan is greater than what I could imagine it to be in terms of the evolution of the soul.
But do you not think that COVID helps the flat earth movement in a way? Because COVID was such a lot of resistance to what was happening during that time, and it kind of pushed a lot of people to a different way of
alternative way of thinking.
Yeah.
And you're no longer trusting. For me, it was like 9/11. Discovering 9/11 was a way. And I was late to 9/11, but when I did, I was like, I can't trust the government. Not even the British government, because why later on I was thinking American was sorry, what was it?
Just whether it helped.
COVID.
Because it did push a lot of people into thinking alternatively.
A lot. You know what happened? You know that stand in the park. You hear it stand in the park. There were all around the country. There was this big movement of stand in the park. People would meet on the Sunday COVID aware. They do flyering, they get together, chat, blah, 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 blah. And during those years, it was thriving. It was always 50 people, people coming. Nowadays, there's maybe 2 or 3 of those people remaining, and the rest have gone back to sleep. Or the majority have gone, look, what can we do? You know, the government aren't paying attention. There might be an inquiry, blah, blah, blah. And there's nothing, no one's paying attention. And I think the same is true with Flat Earth, is that you go out there and a lot of people that I've done activism with have done some activism and then gone it's not helping. There's not enough people waking up. In the 10 years I've been looking at it, it has grown quite significantly. COVID has definitely pushed a small number, because I still meet COVID deniers, people who say COVID is a complete hoax, but they can't get off their globe.
That's like the final boss.
Earth is flat. Earth is flat. La Tierra plana.
Yeah.
So,
But anyways, man, thank you. Appreciate what you're doing. Good
have
luck
I,
to you.
have you given me a flyer before?
I don't think so. No.
If I can, send you home with a flyer. You know, I tell you something a little between you and me, is that I leave my bag here when I'm here on a Sunday and never worry that it's going to get pinched. Do you know why? The people that come here, and I think it's a lot of Muslims, are not the kind of people that are going to do that. I genuinely believe that. Even though they may hate each other over their religious differences, they're not going to pinch my bag. That's what I believe. But they're still going to believe the mainstream.
So, last question. What would it take? What revelation would it take for you to drop the flat earth thing? What would need to be proved to you to do you know what, I was wrong?
Well, I mean, I guess if they were...
If I brought you curved water.
Earth water?
Curved.
Curved water. Yeah, that would be a good one. Or like we could genuinely go. I could tell you about South Africa, but you say, well, I don't believe you. Like, so let's get on a boat or plane, let's go and South Africa. But I can't do any of that with myself.
What would I see?
I'm just giving you a hypothetical. Right? People are walking around ladies walking around without their shirts on. So I'm like, no, I can't be right. Well, let me take you. Okay, I can take you, I can show you. Or lions. You've lived in England your whole life. And you don't have TV. National Geographic. And you go, we've got lions in South Africa. I can take you to a place. It's far. You can drive around all the time. They're like, no way. What is this lion you're talking about? Well, it's a cat, but it's about 500 times bigger than a cat. No, I don't believe you. Well, I can show you. Not only can I bring you photos of me posing near one, I can probably take you there as well. And you go, okay, I've seen your photos, I'm still not sure whether you didn't, AI that, so why don't you take me? Okay, I can take you. Well, no, none of us, but a few government people have ever been to women to believe it. So for me, I've looked at so many things that kill the globe. I know that there's nothing that could bring it. But just playing devil's advocate, I would say yes, if a few nights could jump in a craft. Now, they went to the moon 60 years ago, so by now you and I should be able to hire a craft for the weekend. It might cost us $100,000. But yeah, we can do a little zip around the moon. It's going to take 3 days. It's interesting, it took me 10 days in 2026 to go around the moon, and about 6 days in 1950 to go around the moon. How do they do it quicker than that? But anyway, that's another thing. But the point is, there's nothing, as far as I'm concerned, there's nothing they're going to be able to. There's no way. And anyway, I mean, for me, it's logic. Like if you and I if you're standing here and I'm standing here and you're going to walk to South Africa from here, eventually you're going to be walking upside down. We play football on a flat pitch. You cannot play even balancing. And then you've got the whole thing of, yes, the theory of relativity. And all of these theories are made up in the last century to explain this possible. Salam alaikum. Good to see you, man. There you go. Thanks for the thumbs up. Have you shared the same? And are you coming to the gathering in September? Is my alignment wrong? Thanks for putting that link in there. I can't actually see. very well. I do have some spectaculars. Well, you know, this stream started with me being. I had here 25 Spanish school students sitting around, standing around, hearing stuff and so on, and it was really great. And then one of the trolls from the very beginning of my time here started coming and barracking and throwing shit on the wall, which eventually, you know, gets them to stand up and walk away. He annoyed me because I was having a really good flow there. I do think I've lost him, but I have some. Hey, is anyone here on that Telegram group for the Guru Gathering? If you are, will you share this link on there?
Only 1 minute.
Yeah, it's been pretty intense. My brother.
Very nice.
To have fire now, for the rain is falling. And turn up and wake early. Turn up and wake early. Turn up and wake early. Oh, I feel so above the falling. Bob Marley. I think that was his song.
Interesting, you're not saying it's flat, you're just saying it's not a globe.
I'm just trying different tech, you know, because at the end of the day, like the flat thing triggers the heck out of people. But you'll never look at flat Earth or an alternate Earth whilst you cannot let go of the first love, which is the globe. We're taught to love the globe. And until we can let go of the globe, or at least be willing to put it to one side and look at other options, we're not going to.
To be honest, that's how I see it. I can't say for sure it's flat, but I can't say for sure it's a globe. But I don't believe I'm moving. You know, the whole thing of traveling through space. I don't believe that.
Have I told you my apple theory?
I don't think so.
So an apple is like a globe, right?
Yeah.
Similar, there or thereabouts. But none of the fruit is on the outside of the skin. There's nothing in nature that grows outside the bark, shell, peel, skin. So the solid part of the apple is in the core, where the seeds are. That's where new life comes from, the mother. And it's surrounded by water. Well, what if our continents are the seeds for the life here?
Well, if our continents are seeds
Seeds of the big apple.
the big apple.
So we got an apple skin surrounding us. We call it the firmament, the basement, whatever. And then on the center plane, you've got where everything's heavy. The rocks are falling down here, and the gas is up there. The water's somewhere in the middle. And the new life can only emerge in the Goldilocks zone between 2,000 meters depth to 2,000 meters height above sea level. That's the Goldilocks zone.
Presumably then, if you're thinking that might be the case, you believe in a creator.
Yeah.
Because that would entail
It has to be a creator.
creator.
That's why the globe is, even though religious people believe in the globe and a creator, they're actually demeaning the creator by saying, no, this isn't a creator. This because the globe is an evolution. The globe comes from Darwinian science. That everything comes from from nothing rather than from God's word. Everything is a vibration. Like Nikola Tesla said, everything is vibration, everything is vibrating, and that vibration is creating noise or sound and light. The sound creates the light, I believe.
So do you believe God is a vibration? Something other than
I think that God can I mean, you know, it's hard to be absolute.
Yeah, of course, that's what you think.
Unknown, but I think that God is all that is. Everything that is God, in my view. So whatever all is, that's why when the Muslims say all are, all.
And you, to be clear, you're taking that literally, like when you say you believe all is God, or literally?
All is God, and so in the same way as inside your gut, you've got a universe. You've got like a whole world of little creatures running around doing their thing. You know, they are
Yeah, I have
part
names
of
for them all.
Yeah, they are part of you.
Yeah. Part of the body.
They are, of you. Some of them are not so good, and some of them are good. I think that's what we have. We have a dark and light, you know, good and not so good world here. You know?
Which is always perspective anyway.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean,
Or do you believe there's actual thing as good and bad?
well, my wife and I debate this quite a bit.
Because obviously the moral question comes up a lot here, particularly here. Yes, bro. You told me to run. Yeah.
Have you looked at this? Come on, look at it. It's too scary. It really upsets the whole. Your whole reality is wrong if it's not a globe. Your whole reality has been sold wrong.
It's all wrong. If we're not on a spinning globe, then literally everything that we thought we knew is wrong.
Yeah.
Literally.
And every source of information has been tainted. Pretty much.
Or they just come from ignorance.
So some people believe that the God is like in the atmosphere. Is like everything is God. So we're always in contact with God. But if I can put lies, poison into your body, into your mind, then I can divorce you, separate you from nature, from God, from all. And I think that that's what religion and government is designed to do, is to
Designed,
test
yeah?
us.
I think designed.
I think it's designed to
Do that. Do the thing.
But there's two schools of thought for me. One is that it's designed because it's meant to be like a soul test. Like we almost created the situation that was going to put us at war with each other or ourselves, so as a test. Or simply, like the Bible says, there were fallen angels who were banished, and they came down and tried to fuck up God's creation. That's the other school of thought.
But going back to, I heard that, but going back to the good, do you think there is such thing as good? I'm genuinely curious.
Well,
As I said before,
I
it's
know, like
perspective,
my
but
mind
do you think
is-
there's
it is-
actually a thing that's good, objectively, is what I mean.
well, it's interesting that the word good, if you remove one of the O's, is God.
But if you don't,
It's still good, yeah. And if you take evil backwards, it is to live.
hey,
So, no, I mean, do you mean like, are there good acts and bad acts? For example, if I went and hurt someone.
I mean objectively is what I mean. Yes, bro.
How are you doing, guys?
Good.
Good to
that's
see
nice.
you. Good to see you here.
Wasn't
I
you
needed you an hour ago. I was getting
Did
some
it?
serious abuse by
really?
the trolls. Yeah.
Really?
Serious abuse by the trolls. But anyway, it's lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Good to
Yeah,
see you.
good.
Haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, I'm asking a big question here. Is there such thing as good and bad,
Good and bad.
objectively? This is the big question.
Yeah, it depends on the culture, isn't it?
So you think
Yeah,
it's
some
relative?
cultures something is bad,
Yeah.
in other cultures is good.
So that'll be a no then.
Yeah.
That means you think it's just relative to
That's
the culture.
subjective. Yeah.
Subjective.
Yes.
No, but we have this one golden rule, right?
Do we?
From who?
What's this
From
golden
God.
rule?
Do you know harm?
What
Do
they say? Huh?
you know harm? That's the golden rule.
What is
Yeah,
harm?
but harm is also perspective.
What's harm? Is killing somebody?
Yes.
Is it a harm?
Harm.
By sacrifice.
Yeah.
Abraham tried to kill his child. He was happy to do it for God. If you do it for God,
Oh no.
then
no,
it's
no.
good.
I don't know. I don't necessarily.
Even
believe
killing
that.
animals based on
I
God.
think killing animals is harm, yes. But some people don't. Most people don't, actually.
No, yeah, for their culture.
Yeah.
It's harm for you, your beliefs. By another belief is a good sacrifice for
So
God.
even harming perspective is subjective.
By
Yeah.
even
For
killing
example,
sacrifice. Yeah.
you just smoked.
Yeah.
You didn't care that was harming me.
I don't believe it's harming you.
Passive smoking, we all know it does.
No.
Of course it does.
No, you believe the government on that as
No,
well?
no, it's not about government. This is just simple.
Who gave us tobacco? Government or God? I said tobacco, not cigarettes. I said tobacco, not cigarettes.
First of all, when you say God, which God do you mean? You're just saying God.
The creator, whoever made this place.
Just because something is natural doesn't mean it can't be harmful.
True.
And that's just my point I'm making. I think you know that.
So I discovered in the last.
But sorry,
2
are
years,
you saying that your smoking doesn't harm you?
No.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
I don't believe that my smoking harms me.
Oh wow, you're going there. Okay.
The thing about my smoking that is
It is
harmful.
beneficial.
Yeah. I believe the thing that is harmful in my smoking is the chemicals that they put in it.
Of course, this is what I'm talking about.
That's different.
Yeah.
But I don't think, I mean, if you and I were in a closed space, I would think, yeah, I need to be mindful that you don't smoke. But in an open space, I don't think that's a problem.
But
here's
this is the thing. I promise I'm going to debate you on that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's subjective.
Yeah. Well, no, because we take our subjective position based on what is the culture. So, me getting my wife to wear a cloth over her face isn't harmful in some cultures, right? That's subjective, not objective. So, what I was taught about tobacco, cigarettes, is that they're going to give you lung cancer. Yeah, but that's subjective based on the information that I was given. I think that is objective because I've been given so much information that says cigarettes are bad for me, or tobacco is bad for
Yeah,
me.
there's a lot of chemicals in it.
Yeah. Now we discover.
Again,
since
chemicals are
COVID-
not inherently bad. Everything's a chemical.
Yeah.
So even when we say chemicals, what are we really talking about? We should be talking about specific chemicals.
Some
But-
chemicals, yeah. Some
but-
chemicals are worse than others.
Yeah,
Right? We know that.
But the thing, what I meant about subjective, I mean subjective that you believe it's okay to smoke here because we're in an open space. For another person, another human being, would have been like, oh, do you mind if I smoke here?
Yeah.
I promise you I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying, objective,
Yeah.
subjective.
Well, here's good news for you. That since COVID, I've been following.
COVID, what's that?
Yeah,
joking.
that thing. Since COVID, I've been following these doctors that started in Spain. They discovered that using nicotine cured COVID, or cured long COVID.
Using it how? As in just like smoking it or?
No, using nicotine patches.
Oh, patches, okay.
So your body, it turns out, just in the same way as you might have discovered that in the 80s they found that the body has an endocannabinoid system,
I've heard of this,
which
yeah.
cannabis feeds and nourishes. Well, your body also has a nicotine receptor system that nicotine nourishes. You can get nicotine from eggplant or aubergine, predominantly in the food department.
Sorry. Oh, aubergine, okay.
Yeah. But if you want the highest dose of nicotine if you're unwell, then you go for a nicotine patch. They've discovered, scientists have done studies and found that smokers were less affected with the COVID story than the non-smokers.
And you believe that because scientists told you?
Well, that's a fair point.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm only pushing back to be consistent because of what you said earlier. I'm not
But
saying it's
when-
right or wrong.
When someone says, look, I was suffering with what the doctors call long COVID for 18 months. Nothing that they gave me was helping my condition. And then I discovered that I could put these patches on within 2 weeks, my condition gone away. That's more than a scientist.
good evidence.
That's an anecdotal. If someone comes to me and says, I took cannabis black oil and cured a cancer that the doctor said I couldn't cure, I would say, I would trust you over the paid for pharmacist. Now, there are doctors, for example, Andrew Wakefield, who came out in 2002 and said the MMR vaccine is causing autism in children. Do you know how much grief the system gave him for that?
I can imagine.
And I didn't believe him either, by the way. I believed the system. Now I've seen so many testimonies of parents who have said my child took the vaccine and within a week they couldn't speak.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yes?
Yeah.
It's
It's heartbreaking.
Yes. And that, for me, is not good. If you want to have what's good, you want to know good, we're getting there.
Sorry to interrupt you. Do you believe in Jesus Christ?
No.
No, you?
In what way?
Like, do you believe that He's God and that He's the...
I think you're God. I think Jesus was God. Jesus said, "You will do greater things than I."
Amen. I'm son of God if I believe in Jesus.
You are son of God. Yes.
And also those who do will of God are sons of God.
We are all sons of God.
Those who are led by Spirit, they are sons of God.
Okay, so I'm glad you come to talk to me, my friend, because I believe in God
Amen.
100%.
Did you
100%.
did you feel the power of God in your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Power of Holy Ghost, miracle signs and wonders.
I should be with my family right now, but God said to me, you need to come out and tell people the truth about the world, as is written in the Bible. In Psalms 19:1, the Bible says, there is a firmament over the top of us. In Genesis, God created the earth in 6 days, and he set the earth firm on pillars. Yes, this is what it says in our Bible, is that earth is not moving, and the sun and the moon are lights given for us for the day and the night. So the idea that we live on a spinning globe with a sun that is bigger than the earth is all a lie designed to hide God from you and your fellow brothers in Christ.
To be honest, I don't care about this world. I care about New Jerusalem and the heaven. So I care about Jesus and eternal life. That's the reward we're doing. We do all this for eternal life. But it's profit a man to gain whole world, but he lost his soul. So the soul is the most precious thing we have. So the goal of Christianity, purpose of our faith is salvation of our soul. So those who believe in Jesus, repent from their sins, baptize in the name of Jesus, and take Jesus' cross and follow Him daily, they will have everlasting life.
Can I ask you a question?
Okay.
Are we all equal in God's eyes?
We are all His
We are
creation.
all created equal.
We all created, but nobody we are not the same like servant of Jesus. Not everyone is servant of God. They are servant of Satan, a servant of God.
Servants of Satan.
Yeah.
So-
People who serve their action show that they don't believe in God. They said I believe in God, but they fornicate. They do things. They're not from God because those who believe in God, they sin no more.
I meet Christians who also do things on a Monday that aren't very Christian-like, yeah? So I wouldn't point fingers at any one
I don't
religious
point
group.
fingers.
and say
I just.
they're not. But even inside Christianity...
Jesus said, by their fruit you shall know them.
Yes, by their fruit.
By their fruit, yeah.
Absolutely. But inside of Christianity, we have groups like the Seventh-day Adventists, the Jehovah's Witnesses. These are Christians who believe that Jesus died for us.
Jesus is not that.
But they believe that they are
Jesus is
separate
not religion,
and
brother. Do you know what? Why religion will unite in the last days? Because religion is Satan. Satan created religion, people to kill each other, to fight each other. Yes. Satan created Muslim, Catholics, Orthodox, and people. A real Christian is those who are like Christ. That's why they got the name Christian, because they was like Christ. And we real Christians are those who do things Christ did, casting out demons, live holy life, righteous life, praying for the sick, casting out demons.
loving your brother like I have loved you. I think this is
by love, of
and
course.
to do no harm. Well, I
And
meet
to
people,
serve others.
I meet people who've never been to church, or maybe they're Muslim, or maybe they're Buddha, or maybe they're this or that, and they are doing really good things. They are being God-like or Christ-like in their behavior and in their life, and I admire that and I honor that. You know what I mean? And I don't think it has to be only through the teachings of Jesus. Whilst I think the teachings of Jesus are extremely valuable, where I think the trick is with Christianity is to get you to believe that you are not the direct descendant of God, that you do not have a direct connection without the need for a Savior. You and God are one.
Those who say I believe in God, don't do what Jesus teach, they don't believe in God, because Jesus is God, and Jesus is living God. I don't do debates, guys. I come to you to ask for pray for you. If you have anybody, sickness, illness, Jesus Christ is living God, and His power show the truth that He is living God. So I don't do debates. I just can I pray for you guys?
Yeah, pray.
What is your name?
My name is Dave.
Dave, thank you, Lord, for Dave. Holy Spirit, touch his heart right now. Fill him up with your joy, with the love, and all gifts from heaven in Jesus' mighty name. And you to be healed from heaven, from head to toe, to be healed and delivered in Jesus' mighty name. And Jesus Christ, show Dave that you're God in his dreams, visions. Show yourself to him. Reveal yourself to him in Jesus' mighty name. In Jesus' mighty name. Thank you, Jesus. Do you feel that? Yeah. Holy Spirit loves you, bro. Jesus Christ loves you.
Much love to you, bro.
God bless you, bro.
Much love.
God bless.
Go well. Go with God.
You too.
Go with God. Cheers.
Can I pray for you, brother?
Cheers. Cheers. All the best.
Whatever you think you are, be as brother. Okay? I love you too, brother. I love you too. And by love, you show that you're sons of God, not by debates, not by
Arguing.